and Nikisha. Is that properly said?
Nikisha.
Nikisha,
Yeah.
brilliant. And Jessie, cool. Nikisha, Jessie, Natalia, Meredith, cool. Okay. Okay, hello everyone. It's so nice to meet you. My name is Emily, and I am a mindset coach. I do NLP, hypnosis, mindset work, all the juicy things that help bring us to our higher self. So let me just make sure. Okay, things are working good. All right. And I am the queen of the twisty path, meaning that I did not just arrive here as a mindset coach. I've also worked in business as a marketing supervisor, and I am a former naturopathic doctor. I'm also a yoga teacher and Reiki trained. So I just kind of love life and learning, and all my past lives go into my teachings. And I always celebrate people too who are just always willing to say yes and fail and grow and move on, because that's where a lot of the magic is found in life. So I just wanted to share my two little babies here. This is Koa and Summer, and that is my other job, is a mom, and fills me up just as much as being a mindset teacher. So that's a little bit about me. So I'd love to share how I healed my life and made more money, because you always hear what are the proper jobs to do in life. A doctor, a lawyer, a teacher. It's kind of like the path is carved for you, right? So I always did what other people told me to do. This is a glamorous job. This is gonna get, a lot of credit and money. And along the way, I totally lost myself. I was so heavy in who I was supposed to be, all this knowledge, just, all day long, science and illness. And I started to really lose myself along the way. So when I graduated after 4 years studying to be an ND, I was seriously burnt out, irritated. My sparkle was gone. And I couldn't understand why I was not healing. So I was doing the green juice, I was taking the supplements, I was eating organic food and getting chemicals out of my house. So why is my energy so low? Why am I not attracting what I want out of life? I was just like sticky, stagnant, and plateaued for like a good number of years, trying to practice as a naturopath, and it was just not going well. So in 2020, my baby came to this earth, and I always say that he said to me his first day on earth, you can no longer live out of alignment. Just no, this is done. So it was him who encouraged me to freeze my naturopathic license, take on my mindset training, and then that was the moment where everything started to change. Things started happening naturally. As my mind improved, my health improved. So all this like burnout, irritated, adrenal fatigue, it just started like melting away. And the person that I always was started to come back. So since 2020, I start to feel like everything's falling back into alignment. So if you look here, feel free to throw it in the chat, because I know I've had all of these across my life. Maybe one jumps out, but maybe you've had a limiting belief like this. So I'm not good enough, can't earn enough. What if people don't like me? Someone is better than me. It's too late in my life. Everyone kept saying to me, oh, you already studied to be a doctor for 6 years. Why would you restart? That's crazy, I don't have enough energy. This is a huge one. What if I fail? And this is one with, I thought this was like just me, but every single client, what will my parents think, is like, these people, this advisory board that potentially we give a little bit too much power to. So you might recognize a limiting belief there. And I can affirm I have had all of them at certain points in my life. And sometimes they flare up. And then it's like, okay, you know what? Let's reframe this. So these are some of the most commonly shared limiting beliefs. Did I miss any? Is there any other limiting belief that you really find comes up, feel free to throw it in the chat and we'll keep thinking about that as we go. Okay, so when we hit a plateau in business, commonly it is because our limiting beliefs have flared up. So what does this have to do with the subconscious mind? So the subconscious mind is not talked about very much. We talk about our conscious mind. So our conscious mind can look outside and say, oh, that is a beautiful flower. I like the color. I like the way it smells. So we think we're in the driver's seat here. But what's actually running the show, and it's pretty crazy, is our subconscious mind. So our subconscious mind, it holds all of the stories of our lives, our memories, our fears, our automatic reactions. And it is driving 90 to 95% of the programming in the day. So that is a big deal when you have a big audacious goal, like I'm going to get 7 clients this month. And the subconscious mind is like, you don't have time for that. Like you are busy. So then all your actions are going to reflect that maybe you feel in your subconscious, you can actually only hold for 1 client. So we have to get these two on board, the conscious and the subconscious, so that the goals of the conscious mind are matching what the subconscious believes we can do. So just a little recap, it stores our life experiences, things we have heard and seen, beliefs about self and others. So the conscious mind is all rationalization and reasoning. So we talk ourselves out of powerful stuff sometimes. It's like, I will have 7 clients this month. And then we hold that vibration for a few minutes. And then as we go about our day, it's like, oh, you know what? You're pretty tired and you have a lot of commitments. And, what if your first client doesn't like you? And then we rationalize away all that magic. So that is a lot of what causes our plateau, is we think that because we've declared a goal, we're good to go. But the stories, memories, automatic reactions that are all in the subconscious, they're driving the show too. So we need to believe in the power of our minds and the power of our minds to rewrite the script, to rewrite the story. Everyone has had stuff come up across their life that's negative, and a lot of our programming is more negative. And they say, I think Bruce Lipton says we have 70,000 thoughts a day, and 90% of them run on a reel. So we have to learn to start changing those thoughts. So the subconscious mind is going to ultimately cast the decision on our abundance, happiness, and success. And it is like millions times more powerful than the conscious mind. So here's one more example. So let's say I declare I want a $4,000 client. Subconscious mind says, you're not worthy of a $4,000 client. So now the subconscious is going to keep looking for information to affirm the limiting beliefs. And then the conscious mind doesn't even stand a chance. So we can have our vision boards, and our vision boards are helping because they're guiding. They're like, okay, and repetition is good. Habit is good. These are all good things. But do we need to start rewriting the stories we've learned along the way from our parents, from our community, all of these exposures that the subconscious mind, it's like a sponge. It just picks up on everything around us. Honestly, we probably don't even know the majority of what's held in that subconscious mind. We have clues though, because sometimes it'll flare up in a certain way, right? And so one of my major ones is like, I don't have the energy for X, right? So I really had to go there. Like, where did this come from? And I'm like, oh, that's something I heard my mom say a whole lot. So really just fascination, curiosity, right? As we start to set the intention to rewire, reprogram, and rewrite the script of our life the way we want it to go. So we know that what we're believing, it's how we show up day to day. Like it's just who we are. We have a thought, an emotion, and a feeling. And sometimes that's a mood. And then the mood goes into the personality and the temperament. And you're like, whoa, that one belief just took over. So this is how it's holding leaders back from being their best, is we let the emotion become the mood, become the personality and the temperament. So that's why we have to start to rewrite it early when we start to have these thoughts. So here's a really common one. I need to push to get results. This is huge. So in one of my trainings is Chinese medicine. And in Chinese medicine is a very profound concept. You've probably heard of it, called the yin and the yang. And the yin is kind of like the rest. It's like the feminine, right? It's like the retraction. And the yang is the go, the energy, the fire, the masculine, right? And so our culture has learned to hyper adapt the masculine way of business. Go, go, get it, burnout, crash. Whoa. And when we can start to balance these energies, we're not going to sit there and do nothing, but we're not going to push so hard we burn out and lose our essence, right? So the more we learn it's safe to attract and we feel aligned with who we are and what we do, and knowing we're making the right decisions, this is when this magic starts happening. These things that are synchronicities, manifestations, they're happening out of the blue because you know it's safe to be so yourself, to take rests and pauses when it's needed, and to start to balance these energies. So, this is one we can really start to rewrite the more we practice. So, let me tell you this. When I was a fresh naturopathic doctor, we had no patients when we graduate. So I took on the masculine. I went knocking. I'm like, do you want me to be your doctor? Here's a brochure. Coming here, coming there. I'm going to do this talk. Blah, blah, blah. Crickets, crickets. Like I had like 3 patients my first few months, right? And then I kind of surrendered. I'm like, I just don't know what to do right now. So I took a break and I went to a yoga class. And I was just happy and having tea and looking in the room and just being myself, chatting with all the humans and doing my class. And I met a whole bunch of women. What do you do? And I started passionately talking about how naturopathic medicine had healed my sinus infections and my acne. Boom, bang, done, done, client, client, client. So I had to step out of that feeling of just like, get it, go, 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 in order to shine, right? To be who I am, to be aligned. And this is where attraction starts to come into the business piece, is we need to trust that feminine side of the yin and the yang. And they're both beautiful, but we are hyper culture that the masculine wins. So that is one way to start to reprogramming, push, 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 push to get results. And every single client without fail, I've said, you know what? I want you to go do 2 things this week that are the most you and tell me how it goes. And I hear, my creativity came back. I got an idea. This person messaged me out of the blue. So it's like, it's safe to return to who we are. It's safe to channel the feminine. It's safe, to step back into this trust. So this is the yin and the yang. Number 2, very, very, very common. I'm not good enough / imposter syndrome. So who am I to teach this, lead this, sell this? Someone else can do it better than me. Whoa. Let me say to start that no one in the world is going to do it like you. We can all hear, my whole community of Guelph, we can all have the same training and no one's going to do it the same. So there actually is no imposter syndrome because you are your own unique human. And this one's funny. I challenged myself when I was doing the mindset work and I was a doctor imposter. I said, well, if I don't feel good enough, who do I consider to be a good enough doctor? Okay. So I got this image of this older man sitting at his desk and he was really tired. He was a burnt out doctor and he was really cranky and he was rushing me through all my feelings and emotions. And I have some family health history that really scares me. Like my mom has MS and she's had cancer. And when I go to the doctor, I want to talk about that fears and those fears. And this doctor said, no, no, you have 7 minutes, get out the door. And I was like, how am I an imposter if I hold 90 minutes for people to just share their hearts, right? That's healing in itself. And so I had to shift the image in my head of what a doctor was because my former image was from when I was like 7. And that's the thing about the subconscious mind. Most of our thoughts and beliefs are formed by the time we're 7. So we get to challenge them. So, two things here. If you feel like an imposter, write yourself a story. Be like, well, if I'm the imposter, well, who's the expert? And you can really start to reframe it and see, maybe I'm the expert, right? So, counter thought. The world needs my unique gifts. Return to remembering your worth and write a story about my funny, like, who's the real doctor, and you'll really start to surprise yourself. Number 3, this is huge. Honestly, I'm in my 30s and I sometimes feel yucky after I'm on social media. And I'm like, these poor young children don't stand a chance. Because if I get off feeling like, oh, wow, am I this enough? Am I that enough? Am I smart enough? Have I accumulated enough material wealth on this age? These young children, oh my goodness, I send all the best wishes for them and their strength. So the only thing we can do is as the adults is be the leader. So looking to people on social media and inventing stories about their success, worth, and accomplishments just isn't worth it. It is just going to take away from our own intuition, inner creativity, and knowing. So social media just doesn't tell the whole story. And, I'm a curious person. I love talking to people. I love hearing their life story. And so many times when they share their life story, I'm like, wow, from social media, I thought your world was perfect, right? So just trust that. Trust that we're only seeing a tiny percentage. Take breaks, and guaranteed every time you're off for a bit, all the creativity, the self goals, the self desire, they start to funnel back. And there's a really big distinction here. This helped me a lot. I call some accounts trigger accounts, okay, because there's triggering an emotion in the body. Is it triggering an emotion that is aspirational, like, oh, I see that person's in Greece working. I want to be in Greece working. I feel something, but it's really good. Or is it triggering an emotion where you contract and you're like, oh, I don't feel good. Like it's like, the downward spiral. So I asked myself, I'm like, is this trigger emotion pulling me up or pulling me down? And then I can say, okay, mute, unfollow, whatever I need to do for really good mental health. So that's a really good way to just kind of like filter for mindset is ask if this is an aspirational feeling. Is this creating an emotion that makes me want to be a better person, a more aspirational person, or is this sending me down a hole where I can't show up as well in the world? So that one's really helped me along the way. So now we know that the subconscious mind is majorly affecting our life, business goals, all the stuff. So how do we reprogram this? Like, how do we get where we want to go? Visualization is massive, 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 massive. Create a literal movie reel in your mind as if you were already on the other side of it. So I started this when my baby Koa was born in 2020. Again, my natural business didn't go that great. I didn't have much income to work with. And I was making a huge change while becoming a new mom in a pandemic. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna have to get creative here. So I made a movie reel. And every night before bed, I found the same time every day. I would just sit and I would play the movie reel. I was living the life I wanted. It was like it was already done. It was already done. I was living it. And I had a car. At that point, I didn't even have a car. I was driving my new car. I was, I'm ambitious here. I was holding my second baby, which did also come to fruition. Holding my second baby, driving my car, teaching women, powerful, loving women. It was so easy to be in this career. I didn't go to bed scared, and I'm just playing the reel. And within a year, all of it was happening from the reel. So I now need to make a new reel because I'm like, that really, really worked. So this is going to not only encourage your mind, it's like when your mind has a thought that it's living, you're going to speak differently. You're going to speak like the person who's working in Greece. You're going to speak like the person, that's driving the car. And your biology is going to change too. So thought, behavior, action, thought, behavior, action, thought, behavior, action. So, number 2, be willing to embrace growth mindset. Simply put, humans love comfort and familiarity. Find a way to become so excited by your discomfort and stretches. Be willing to notice what freaks you out. I still get freaked out every week, and I'm trying to get more excited by it. um, a long time ago, I hated to change. I would cling to like the same walking path, the same coffee, the same, because it made me feel so secure. And now I'm like, you know what? To live this big, audacious life I want, I have to welcome the discomfort. So, are you afraid of discomfort? Just sit with that. Am I afraid? Okay. Discomfort is uncomfortable. And then be willing to notice, where your blind spots are. And this is why I always hired coaches, because I want to see them. And that's what I get to do for a living. I get to hold the mirror and say, with love, like I'm not a sassy coach. I do it all with a lot of love. I'm like, do you want to know when you're using the language, right? And I get to help people's language just kind of shift and sway. Yeah, like one client, the big word was impossible, impossible, impossible. So even just switching the neurophysiology to possibility. And she said, Emily, wow, I had no clue how often I was saying that. And that affects life, love, business, spirituality, all the buckets, right? So language is everything. Also, this is something else I've been trained in, is the emotional freedom technique. So I'm super lucky here because I'm trained as an acupuncturist, so I know all the hundreds of points on the whole body with needles. But the EFT uses a certain number of points on the body to start reactivating our energy. So when you think you get stressed, everyone does the same thing. Shoulders forward, looking down, like the body just contracts. So we need these tools to start to reactivate the energy, right? Get everything moving and flowing and going. And this is a tool to help keep our channels and spirits clear and open. So, I use this a ton of different ways with people. So, you can use it for pain. You can use it for money blockages. You can use it for seeing yourself in a new light. And part of the technique is we validate. Like this is big for me as someone who's a holistic medicine coach and a mindset coach. We don't just say, "Oh, good vibes, shh, good vibes." Like that's not for me. Like I am here to validate. Oh, that is tough, or oh, that is sad. And we have to sit with that. Like we're humans, right? And so we need to allow stuff to surface, and then once it's surfaced, we help it move. So, and I like that EFT does that, right? So it's like before we do the technique, it's like, even though I have a block about money, right? I am willing to see myself in a more abundant light. So I think EFT is pretty powerful, and it helps to reprogram the subconscious mind. So, an invitation, if you have a paper and a pen, you can do it, or you can close your eyes, or you can keep your eyes open, whatever feels good to you. I'm just going to do a brief little exercise here that is kind of like a why exercise. So, the exercise. Picture yourself at 95 years old. Isn't that weird? We forget to think we're going to be old. And then call on that version and talk to that higher version of yourself. Whoa. Okay. So I can see my 95 self, and she's in a really zen home, lives by the water, has a really cool garden. And she's reflecting on her life. And she was like, whoa, I was brave. I was brave, right? And so when this human body at this age is scared, I'm like, but how do I want to feel when I'm 95, right? And we forget to give that perspective, because when we choose comfort every single day, we're just still the same person at 45, 55, 65, 75. So that is an exercise that I believe helps me call myself forward. All right. So mindset number 2 is, this is how we rewrite the script, right? Thinking of a time that we really, really trusted ourselves. So when we feel scared, we've told ourselves a story of the time we didn't trust ourselves, or a parent or a coach or a friend told us, I don't trust you. So what we have to do is we have to rewrite the script for ourselves and be like, oh, Emily, I actually do trust you, and channel that. So even me, when I switched businesses, right, I went from charging $150 to coaching packages like in the thousands, right? And I was like, oh, that's a big jump, right? All the coaches are charging that. Do you deserve to charge that? And I sat and I wrote myself a resume. It's like, if we would write a resume for a company, why would we not write a resume for ourselves and remind ourselves how awesome we are, right? I was like, oh, you're a naturopathic doctor, you're a Reiki teacher, all your patients said that your counseling was like beyond, not counseling, guiding was beyond anything they've ever experienced. And I built myself up. And so when I went to my first thousands and thousands client, I was like, oh, okay, I'm ready for this. And I had the successes. And then the momentum started where I actually could trust even that component of myself. So tap into that energy, that memory, and that feeling. All right. So how to reprogram the subconscious mind. So does someone want to kind of go through limiting thought with me? Anyone? I can do it for myself too.
I can do it if no one wants to volunteer. Jesse, I see you went off mute.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I don't know if you guys can hear me, but
yeah, perfect. Okay, so let's just do it.
So lately I've been really struggling with like limiting thoughts around money. So I just went, and I knew this was going to happen.
Okay.
Because I just went full time with my business, which means my sole income is in my business.
Okay. Congrats.
So, and of course, at the same time, we have some extra bills coming in and things like that. And we're like, oh crap, we don't have, we didn't have the income, right? Like we've saved, but so I know the money's there, but it's still that limiting belief.
Okay, cool. Well, congratulations on your business. And congratulations on identifying your limiting thought. All very good.
Thanks.
And what is your business, Jesse?
So I do Reiki and virtual admin for holistic practitioners.
Beautiful. Okay, wonderful. Okay, so let's start by talking to your old self. So what is the thought that happens to start this spiral?
I don't know if it's a thought so much as a feeling.
Okay. So
it's like tight in my chest, like that anxiety.
Yeah.
Like, crap, I guess it's like, how am I gonna pay my bills or pay for this? Or like, I feel like I can't go out and do as much or buy as much or that kind of thing.
Okay, perfect. So what if there's not enough money, construction, then I can't buy as much or do as much. So it's like all shrinking. And then what's your behavior when you have the thought and the state?
Depends on the day. Sometimes I'll go through my, like I have some like affirmation cards around like my earnings and things like that. So I'll go through that if I recognize it. If not, I'm more like looking at our bank accounts and like, okay, like we can't spend over this week, that kind of thing. So
Okay,
it
got
kind
it.
of depends on the day.
Okay. And then what's the result of we don't have enough money, contraction, staring at the bank accounts? What result do you get out of that?
Not calling in clients.
Awesome. Okay. Good. Good identify. Really good. So your higher self, does she have a name? Or they
No,
have a
I've never named her.
You can think about that one. I always talk about drained Emily and electric Emily. They have their own state. So I call on electric Emily. Okay. So we'll just call her like higher self Jessie. For you can think if she or they have another name. Okay. Powerful self. What thought is going to make you feel so good? Any ideas?
Like, you can do this.
I love it.
That's
You
what
can
comes
do
to
this.
mind first. Yeah.
You can earn all the money you need. You can do this. You can earn all the money you need. What does that feel like in your body?
Relaxing.
Ah, yeah. Yeah. What else?
Proud, happy.
Amazing. Such high vibrational feelings. Relaxed, proud, happy. And then what's your behavior when you feel relaxed, proud, and happy?
More like easier decision making, productive in more like better ways.
Amazing. More aligned, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the result when you're aligned, trusting, happy, and you know you can earn?
I call in the right clients.
Gorgeous. So good. So you just took yourself through like a totally different thought, behavior, physiology, and state, right? And you can see how every thought starts to either contract or expand. And Jessie over here is like, I've got this, right? And it doesn't mean we don't have adversity or challenges, because we will, but we can just tap back in faster. And the faster we tap back in, the faster the results happen, right?
Okay.
So for like manifestation and calling in what we want, that's the key, is being able to do it a lot quicker, get through those thinky thoughts and into the high vibe thoughts. So beautiful.
Right.
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I would say to keep using those movie scripts in your head. Picture yourself sitting, talking to the perfect client. How do you feel? Like, as you're laughing, what are you drinking? Like, get it so deep in your physiology that it's like, it's already done, you know? Awesome. Thanks, Jessie. Okay. You will know it's working when you're attracting more positivity. Things are coming easier. You have more faith in the unknown. You feel more joy, ease, and flow in your life. So when I started down this path, here's a lot of the resources I used. They kind of talk a lot about trust, faith, the subconscious mind. Anyone who is on here, especially for money, I really like the Esther and Abraham Hicks money meditation. That one, when I got back from Bali and my bank account was empty, I listened to it every day. This was in like 2017. And then I got this gig where I literally would work like 1 hour a week and get $1,000 to $2,000. Like, it was just like crazy, silly. And so that was the activation for me, where I was like, oh, this meditation really, that was my first example ever. So here's how you can stay in touch with me, is Emily Elliot. And I have a podcast too. If you like just kind of talking about, I think I just talk about everything, how to be happy, sexuality, family, money, entrepreneurship. So I just like to talk about the magical side of life. So feel free to check that out too. And yeah, let's open the floor. Does anyone have questions, stuff that came up along the way?
Emily, that was amazing.
Oh, thanks, Meredith.
One of my questions was the books. So I will be going back to your presentation to look at that for sure.
Sure.
What would you say? So I would say I am like the most newbie of newbies when it comes to all of this. Like I am 100% live in that masculine energy. I've been, okay, I'm going on a tangent here, but I'm going to share it.
Ready for it.
This summer has been a game changer for me to step out of that energy, having my daughter Evie, who's 4 and not in daycare because she's in school. So she's home for the summer. So it's forced me to almost take the summer off as much as I can take it off.
Yeah.
And it's made me realize like how much I'm able to sit back and like I'm actually bringing in more business not being around, but I'm not actually making those thoughts like but I can, you know, so understand all of that has kind of just happened, but I'm realizing like, oh wow, like I'm hardly showing up on social media right now, and all of these beliefs that I had, like I have to do this, everyone's doing it. And it could be because I'm fortunate where I've been doing that for years anyway. So it's allowing me to be able to sit back and not just starting like you, Jessie, right? I'm not sure what it is, but if I am starting to realize those connections, and so my point is I'm like a newbie, even though I'm making these realizations.
Right.
What are some like easy tactics and ways to start integrating this kind of in your life that's not like, you know, if you want to start eating better, like it's
the beginning.
Small, yeah. Like what would you say for beginners is an easy way to kind of like, it's hard to adapt. It almost sounds like magic to me, which you know, you have and so
for sure.
Yeah, like how do you kind of get into that, I guess, is what
how to start.
That's easy, like small bite-sized pieces.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So I would say, and this is a big one, especially for women and, you know, anyone that identifies as in the female, is this: do you trust yourself? Right? And what that means is that even me, I'm still in the first 2 years of something new, right? And so I have to be able to know aligned action and hustle and pull back, right? So it's like, am I pushing too hard? Pull back. Because even at the beginning, you can start to find the rhythm. It's like, I know today, like I even said to you, Meredith, straight up, I have to make a website. I have to optimize some systems. Like I got all my first 8 clients just through talking on Instagram, right? And amazing. So, you know, I could have been hustle, get my website ready, get this ready. And I didn't. I went on Instagram and I was like, so today let's talk about the subconscious mind. And I'm now taking clients. The first post I ever did, I got a client. And at that time, she paid $5,000 and it was one single post. So I would say that you will start to intuit your rhythms better. And the old me would have been like, I'm not starting a business until I look credible and like, you know. So this time I said, I'm just going to start, and I know I have to get the website. And I have you, I found you, and I'm going to do it. But I didn't obsess over the timeline, right? And it started taking off. Whereas the doctor one, every piece was ready for so long, and it was me that wasn't ready. Right? So I would say trust yourself. Where is the aligned action and where can you pull back? And the days where you're like pulling out your hair and someone's like, hey, so-and-so, do you want a sales call? No, because you're not going to give them that magic. So it's like, you know what, maybe tomorrow, and this happens to me a lot as a mom and someone working. I'm like, tomorrow's going to be really long. because I need to wake up with fresh energy, and I actually cannot talk to you tonight because I know I'm fried and I'm not in the right headspace. So I would say starting to trust yourself and knowing that the interplay of aligned action and retraction, only you are going to know how to do it, and
Yeah.
to trust yourself to dance more there.
Yeah.
Picturing of a new textbook, old textbook. Hey, you're an entrepreneur. Do this, don't sleep, drink all the coffee, have the red eyes, be like really like angry. New textbook. You can do just enough every day, lean into who you are, and then you're going to take better, more aligned action. Rewrite the script. Old textbook, bye. New textbook, hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, it makes it, that answer makes sense to me based on this, how this summer has played out. It might not have made sense to me back in April.
Yeah, of course. And guess what? That's life. It's like when the student's ready, the teacher arrives, and you're ready. You're ready to say, hey, there's a different way for this. So even if today for other people is just a drop in the bucket of like, hey, that's another way of thinking and being, that's okay.
Mhm.
Because maybe one day they'll get more experience and exposure and be like, oh, that has something to it. And that's how my life has gone.
Yeah.
You know, the first time someone told me to not eat like Chips Ahoy for my gut, I was like, you're wrong. And now I'm like, oh, that really hurts. So I don't do it at all. Right. So don't make where you're at wrong. Just have gentle curiosity, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah. Any other questions?
I think I have more of a comment versus a question. I just want to thank you for your presentation. Like I've
Oh.
actually been learning all these things on my own, understanding my subconscious mind. So it's all kind of affirming everything I've been doing this year. I'm really big on vision boards and really trying to visualize what's happening. And then you touched on burnout, because I've been going through burnout, because I've been in my business for 4 years, and it's been that masculine energy of going hard, hard, hard.
Yeah.
And now, like, since the summer hit, I'm just like really depleted, right? So
Oh.
I've been pulling back and just really kind of reassessing and allowing that creative energy to come forth and figure out, okay, what's next and how do we make this a little bit more sustainable. So anyways, all that to say, your presentation was great. I feel like it's perfect timing to
Oh, I'm so glad.
just made it digestible, because I know these concepts can seem really out there and just like off, but it just, you've made it really helpful to reference.
Oh, thank you.
them. So,
That's very kind. And I wish you all of the fortification as you step forward on the burnout, because you'll get there. It's tough, eh? It's really tough.
yeah, it's the pulling back piece and knowing, and I've just been talking myself through, like, the clients will come, like, even though I've pulled back and I kind of set some boundaries.
Yes.
It's kind of I'm trying to reassure myself that the clients will come once I'm in a proper space to really kind of again deliver.
So good.
Yeah, trying to change the thinking around the worry of, like, what if no one comes back because I took like this little break, right? So
It's so true. And it's funny how it truly is the opposite, right? When you can step in with refreshed energy, people sell their business based on what type of person they are, not really what they sell, right? So I keep coming back to Meredith and I'm like, we've never been really met. I've seen her Instagram. I'm like, we're going to do a website. You're going to reel in my airy fairy ways and make sure I'm online, right? And it's like, there's just something where people are drawn to people, and you are so perfect as you are. And the more you grow your essence, all your people want you even more. And I always picture that. I'm like, the more I'm fortifying me, the more I'm like a magnet, right? I don't know if those words resonate for you, but they really like help me with reassurance.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And side note, just because I am passionate about burnout, if you ever just want to like voice note over like some of the like foods and supplements that helped me with burnout, I'm really happy just to help there, and in general to chit chat, because it's a tough feeling pulling out of burnout. So
yeah, it's a recovery, definitely.
Yeah, you have my full empathy for sure.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Natalia or Jesse?
I just have, so it's, I guess there would be another limiting belief. And I'm just wondering if that same exercise that you just took me through would work
Yeah.
for like any limiting beliefs. So it's more around, like I'd like to launch like a course or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it's that like imposter syndrome that I'm like,
Mm,
who am I? Like, what information do I have to share? Like that kind of thing, even though
sure.
I've gone through and I already have an outline for it.
Totally. Yeah. I would do that thought, belief, state, behavior. So good. I would do your movie reel visualizations.
Okay.
And for what it's worth, because again, me, my top value is growth. I have signed up for a million courses and coaches. Like I've just done it all. I am not kidding you. 70% of what I register for is so basic. And that's what starts to encourage me. I'm like, oh, I know enough. I'm good enough. I do enough. Right. And so I'd say if you're, this is weird advice, but just register for stuff and just start to see what other people are putting out. And it's really grounding. It's like other people somehow have the belief that this is perfection. And so after I started doing that, I was like my first coach, I paid $10,000. And I was like, I mean, it helped, but it wasn't some like magic potion of all the world's knowing. Or, I've taken different courses. I'm like, that was pretty basic. I'm still happy I took it, but they felt courageous enough to go. So just immerse yourself in that world. And that's weird advice, but that's one of the top things that made me realize I can do this too, is just seeing what's out there.
Okay.
Because we're smarter, more beautiful, and more awesome than we think. And we need to hear it every single day, right? Like we are cultured to hear, like, not good enough, not smart enough, not enough. It's like, oh, no, no, we're smart, we're beautiful, we're enough, we're magical. So reprogram that and talk to the people around you that remind you of that. Literally, this is so awkward. I called friends and be like, can you tell me what I'm good at? And then that people already see it, right? It was so awkward. I had to do that at a self-help group. I was like sweating. I was sweating. I was like, so Sydney, like I'm here at this group and can you tell me what I'm good at? And I also had to ask what I was bad at, but that really helped. So people you really trust, say what do you see in me, and start to get that built back up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I can share a
Yeah.
story on that too. Like when I was first starting out, Jessie, really what I felt like social media was the thing I had the most control over, right? Like show up every day, I have control over this. It makes me feel like I'm doing something.
Yeah.
And a realtor who kind of runs this small business ownership thing here in Cambridge asked me to do a presentation on social media management. Meanwhile, I don't do this. And I said yes, but it was stepping into, the unknown and the uncomfortable and that imposter syndrome. But the presentation I put on, I showed up as me, I got the nerves subsided, and then I just kind of did my thing. And it was in front of a group of like 20 women who then almost all became clients in some form or fashion over the years,
Yay.
because they just saw like a real genuine person, I think. And that was really helpful and motivating to kind of say, like, keep going. Like, even though what might be common sense to us isn't to so many other people, or sometimes it's just about the inspiration.
Yeah.
So putting yourself in a position where like it was unpaid, I was asked, and just saying yes became a huge opportunity business wise, but also like for my confidence in that imposter syndrome.
Yay. It's a great story.
Yeah. So that helped a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, and keep
Yeah.
following yes energy, just like Meredith is saying. Do you want to do this? Yes, right? So I, like, in all transparency, just because that's who I am, like I literally just started back to work like 2 weeks ago from a newborn baby. And I put stuff on the calendar for these 2 weeks so I can start getting my mojo going again, right? So it's like, just follow the yes energy. Like I had seen Meredith online. I'm like, do you want to connect? We have different skill sets. there's like 7 people this week that I'm just saying yes to like get my own mojo going again, of getting back in the feeling of business. So don't be afraid to just reach out to people that inspire you and follow the yes energy. And it's like, this is what we talked about. The feeling of being back in your work that you love is what drives everything, right? So if someone on Instagram magically messages me tonight and it's like, I'm looking for a coach, I'll be like, oh, I know that's because today I was in a high vibe talking with cool humans online, right? Just everything is energy. So that's a really good story, Meredith, for sure.
Actually, Emily, of all these guest speakers that we do them monthly, and we started in January. You're the only one that actually asked to be one, versus
I love it.
Always been me looking for guests.
So good.
Yeah.
So good.
I thought you should know that.
I love that.
Yeah.
I especially love that because this top personal training event I did, we had to go and just ask for things. We had to go ask a stranger to buy us lunch, because this is what we're afraid of in the feminine. We have to be like, approached. And it's like, no, like we can balance that energy and be like, hey, I think you're cool. Want to work together? So I think there's something there. I'm glad you told me that.
Yeah.
Well, I know I'll be sensitive to everyone's timelines because we're approaching 1, but thanks, Meredith, for the chance to chat and connect.
Of course, that was fantastic. I'll send the replay and the presentation and all the links where you guys can find Emily and get more of her knowledge.
Awesome. So nice to meet everyone.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Emily.
Bye.
Bye.